Now, I grew up going to two local tracks. One, and there were asphalt tracks. One in Ohio growing up. One was Killcare. One was Shady Bull. Miss Lee has probably heard of Shady Bull. I don't know if she's ever heard of Killcare. Killcare only does like 4 races a year now. The rest of it does drag racing, which I'm not big into. I've been NHRA, and I'll go, but it's not something I go out of my way to go watch. I've been to a track in North Carolina and Florida here and there, but nothing that I was dedicated or had someone behind the scene. You work at Why Not Motor Speedway. You're on the microphone. You deal with a lot of these teams. And speaking about money, and it's just while you were talking, I was thinking this. Are there any owners out there of cars that just let people drive their cars, say that they're too old and they want to continue to give into the sport, or just want to have a race team and spend the money and let young talent drive their cars? Is that even a thing?
Yes, it is a thing. One of the best examples that I can bring right off the top of my head is Randy Thompson, the K3 machine. Of course, Bud McCool raced this race car and won the World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year. Bud McCool was his name. So Randy Thompson never been a driver, but has always been a team owner. And drivers like legends like Jim McDuffie, also Johnny Stokes, all kinds of names. I'm sorry, my head went blank there just for a few minutes. I was reading the message that we'll have to reschedule our interview with our guest here tonight. But there are car owners. Of course, we just had the great Charles Berg. He passed away. He has always been a car owner, owned the 7-Eleven Country Pleasing machine. So, and of course, Henderson Motorsports. Leon used to be a driver. He hung up his hat after a pretty vicious wreck at a Fall Classic about 8 years ago. But he's, continued to own a race car and put drivers in it and give people opportunities. The Franklin, I don't know if you know the Franklin. Why do I keep drawing blanks, man? What it is, I'm not used to talking about my stuff here. So, it's definitely common to have just car owners. Because
now,
look.
With that point, and I just want to have this conversation with you, then we'll wrap it up. We'll get a nice little segment in here, just talking about racing, and we'll reschedule the interview. But talking about that, the owners, is it even worth it to them? Like, I mean, other than getting the pure joy of watching a young talent that financially would not have had the opportunity, like, is there, because of the expense of this sport and what it costs, is it even aren't technically, since they're not running for championships and everything else, and I'm sure that the driver gets the purse or at least a cut of the purse, are they even breaking even on doing that kind of thing?
Right. So Mr. CJ Sports, the best way that I can explain this is you and I, especially, look, I'm sure you every month come up with the pennies to make this show work, right, and keep the network going and stuff like that. There are people, Mr. CJ Sports, that have never had to worry about anything like that in their time, or they have gone, well above their financial dreams, and basically the sport is still a hobby to a lot, and it's bragging rights, and I want the best car. Some people have expendable income, Mr. CJ Sports. I know it's for those of us that are in this world that we live in now, there's no way to catch up. It's hard for us to believe that there's actually car owners and whatnot that are in the sport to just throw away a bunch of money. But a lot of these guys are business owners, and they I hate to say use tax write-off as the cliche, but typically there's investments into things that won't make them money, and at the end of the day, they can use that as a counterbalance on their sheets. Look, the best example I can use here is Phoenix Racing, right? You remember old James Finch? He owned a construction company, right? Big time. You know James Finch. Brad Keselowski won his very first race in the number 09, remember?
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
James Finch owns the construction company, Phoenix Racing. He's been around. He's been giving cars to guys for the last 50 years. Jeff Purvis, old Jeff Purvis, he used to race at Phoenix City in a Phoenix construction race car. And look, James Finch loves racing, and so he has taken money out of his own pocket throughout his lifetime to support the sport that he loves. And that's the reason why we're where we are today, Mr. CJ Sports, is because of, true ambassadors of the sport that do this for the love of it. Look, there's no way you can spend $200,000 on a truck, on a hauler and a race car and a pit crew and expect to make any money when the payout's $500 at the end of the night for a win.